Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's Timothy here with Jank Diver Gaming, and we are doing the early access streamer event for Lost Caverns of Ixalan. So, a couple things. First off, I understand I'm not streaming, I'm recording, but a couple members of the Jank Diver Gaming community streamed throughout the day. We had a fun time. We learned a little bit about the set, and I figured I would just get a couple quick videos up for YouTube, kind of going over what I learned about the set and maybe seeing if I can learn a little bit more. Before we get into this, I want to give two big shout outs. First off, thank you to Wizards of the Coast for providing this early access account for us, and thanks for letting us join this event. It's really cool for our community to have a chance to play with the new cards early, especially given that we are a cube related community and there's not a lot of avenues on Arena to do the type of stuff that we do, but we also love limited in our community, so yeah, it makes sense, and I appreciate them giving us the chance to learn the set ahead of time. So thank you, Wizards of the Coast. Second off, I want to give a big shout out to one of our admin in the Jank Diver Gaming community, Mr. Mop Beeble himself. He was the one who has been pestering Wizards basically every single set release, saying, hey, here's what we do. Do you want to give us a shot at the early streamer event? And he's the reason that we got access to do this. So thank you very much, Mop. Had a good time hanging out in the streams today. We are going to do Lost Caverns of Ixalan limited here. Unfortunately, the way we divvied this up across our admin, certain people were only able to stream or draft during certain times of the day, and my time came really late at night where apparently they switched over to only quick draft instead of traditional or anything like that. So I will unfortunately have to do quick draft, but I think that's fine for two reasons. First off, it's day 0 of the new format, so quick draft bots are going to be very much similar decisions to a lot of people who are participating in this in the first place. Second off, there's no timer, so I get to talk a little more extensively about how I'm feeling about some of the cards, and we can look back on this in a month and a half and see how wrong I was about everything and how messed up my decks are. I am not going to play most of my decks up to 7 wins, 3 losses. I'm probably going to play like 4 or 5 matches and then probably drop and try to get another recording in. There's no consequences here or anything like that. We're just trying to learn the new format, learn the new cards. So before we jump in, as always, feel free to subscribe to this channel. It always helps us out. Every subscriber we get, every like, comment, whatever you want to call it. Engagement helps us quite a bit. And you can find links to our Discord community down below, where we did the majority of our streaming this time. And yeah, if you want to come join the Jank Diver Gaming community and get in on some cube drafts, that's the place to find us. All right, let's do this thing. No timers. We get to talk about cards as much as we want. It also sadly means that I don't get to pull up the wheel and see who's drafting with us, but I understand why they switch over to quick draft at night. It's because there's probably a lot less people. The streamers have hopped off for the night. It's really late where I am, so let's talk about some cards here. There are a number of cards, basically this entire front row. Kellen is going to be my pick. I want to play with the rares. I want to try him out. Don't really need a lot of convincing to know that Kellen is just a good card. Obviously, I'm biased in white here. I'm kind of ignoring the fact that this is green. Clay-fired bricks proved very, very strong today and looked pretty good. Craft cards in general looked pretty strong. Haven't seen Colossadactyl yet, but this just has the stats to move. And then the black-white sacrifice deck is real. I don't know how it's going to shape up by the end of the format, but this is a strong reason to be in black-white. I'm going to take Kellen here. Worth noting, I think blue and green looked to be some of the weaker colors in the set, and the Mardu spectrum, black especially, looked pretty strong. But let's go ahead and grab Kellen and see where it leads us. Well, it leads us into Guardian of the Great Door, 2 mana 4/4, but you have to tap a bunch of stuff to get it down for that cost. Basically, this is a 6 mana card, but everything you can tap on board makes it cheaper. It's going to be my pick after Kellen for sure, but there's also Eatskinth, I believe. I'm probably going to mispronounce a couple names. Tithing Blade. A little bit of debate with some of our members today about how this card was going to perform, but I think the front half of it was regularly decent. The back half was kind of mediocre, but the back half being upside on the front half was nice. And then I think our whole community was in agreement that a Braid is probably going to be the best common, but we have a strong white rare. Let's go and pick up strong white card to follow it up. The journey here, too, does make map tokens, which can tap for Guardian of the Great Door. Following that up, we've got, well, I'm happy to take a couple white cards here. Again, just looking at the blue. So Lodestone Needle is fine. This sort of effect is pretty bad, but turning it into the back half is nice. Didact Echo, fine. Pirate Hat's kind of weak. Worth noting here, too, you're going to see, let's say you haven't studied this is your first time seeing the set. Don't get trapped by the creature types. If you played original Ixalan, you'll remember merfolk, vampires, dinosaurs, pirates being kind of the center of those sets. Those are all here, but it's not a focal point of the set. So if you see like a pirate payoff, you need to make sure it's really good before you just start snatching pirates, right? My picks boil down to Mischievous Pup, 3 mana, 3/1, Flash that lets you pick up one of your other permanents, or Dauntless Dismantler, which can destroy a bunch of artifacts. I think I'm going to take Mischievous Pup. This card's really good. Well, it's pretty good with Kellen. It's not amazing with Guardian, but we found a lot of ways to reuse permanents for value. All right, so the only white card I'm considering here is Miner's Guidewing, which is fine. 1 mana creature that dies and explores on something else. Like that's decent. 1-drops are pretty good, especially when I have this Guardian. But I do think that card's a little bit weaker than the uncommons here. Cosmium Blast is fine, but you really want to bias towards permanents, I think, in this set. So you would hope that your removal spell is a permanent in some capacity, because those feel Descend, Craft, so on and so forth. So Cosmium Blast is like probably filler card in this set. Not quite sure yet. Let's talk about the caves real quick. A lot of people are coming into this format thinking that there's like a 4 or 5 color cave deck, and it looks like, unless you're willing to dedicate picks to a cave really, really early and pass premium uncommons, it looks like the cave deck, like the 5 color cave deck, is a little bit of a pipe dream. What you want to do, or at least my inclination after seeing the caves in action, what you want to do is pick up 2 or 3 caves and then just play the good cave payoffs in your deck if they make sense. But the 4 or 5 color cave deck doesn't seem like it's going to pan out. Anyway, cards that we could actually take here. I do like Deep Cavern Bat quite a bit. This is like a Kite Sail freebooter with less toughness, but it has a lifelink. And then there's this Hermetic Nautilus as well, which performed quite well for Mop Beeble earlier. Let's go and snap up this bat. I could take the white 1-drop to see how that pans out, or just kind of move into black harder or white harder. But Helping Hand with Guardian of the Great Door, huh? Again, Helping Hand is a pretty strong card, I think, but it's not a permanent, and I'm going to bias towards permanents. That being said, all of the permanents in this pack are kind of the same power level. 2 mana 2/2 that scries when it becomes tapped. It's fine. Another Guidewing, again, fine. Helping Hand does look pretty good with a lot of my cards here. Echo of Dusk is okay. This is, again, Descend, cares about the number of permanents in your graveyard, so you really want to bias towards permanents when you have Descend cards in your deck. I think I'm going to take the Helping Hand. I think the 4 mana or 2 mana 4/4 is enough for me to want to take that. Acrobatic Leap is just okay. Just okay. Just a combat trick. Nothing super special. A lot of decent red here. So the only card that matches on color with what we've got is Mephitic Draft, which is kind of like an Ichor Wellspring that hurts you. But black-white does sacrifice things. We might get some of the sacrifice stuff back. And then there's Atali's Favor, which looked pretty good earlier. Hotfoot Gnome, if you're really aggressive, could be fine. Idle as a 3 mana deal 2 that can turn into equipment later. And then the Land Cyclers, which are kind of dorky in this set. They look pretty weak. They're in fact weaker than the ones from March of the Machine, but they do help you descend and do all that stuff. I'm going to take the Mephitic Draft here and just stay with the colors that I've got. Ooh, Spring-Loaded Saw Blades. Yeah, so this is a bot draft, so you might be getting some really strong cards, but we saw all sorts of weird stuff happening in drafts earlier. I'm going to go ahead and take this. This is 2 mana, instant speed, deal 5 damage to a tapped creature, and then this crafts into like a vehicle that actually just beats your opponent down. So a good removal spell that turns into a good late game threat. And this thing is another card I have my eye on. It seemed like the whole tap 2 red-white theme is actually real in this set, which is surprising because these cards look super dinky, but I tuned into a game where Teld had one of these up to like a 12-12 or 13-13 or something like that. Yeah, see, here's exactly what I'm talking about. This card looks super dorky, but this might be like my biggest kind of mover upper moving into the actual format. This card just looked incredible. Now, I'm not tied to black here. There's no black card worth taking, and Cosmium Blast, again, just a worse version of Spring-Loaded Trap for the most part. Waterlogged Hulk is okay. Blue-White Craft is a deck. This is a cheap artifact for my Guardian. The mill doesn't seem like it's going to be super important. I think I'm actually just going to take the Sunshot Militia here. I was very impressed with how this card played out. And we'll see. We might not end up in red. Forgotten Monument is one of your cave payoffs, but again, you can see the whole cave thing is I would have had to take like 2 or 3 caves out of this pack and still just have a bunch of colorless caves in my deck. 3 mana 3/3 that can pump out 1/1s in the late game. That's okay. This one's especially weak. I do like Fungal Fortitude. This is pick 9. I think Bartholomew was in this pack, so a bot took a black-white gold card, which is worth noting. I'm going to stick with a white card and just take 3 mana 3/3 here, not overthinking. All right, now I'll take Tithing Blade. That seems pretty good. Pit of Offerings, also main deckable, I think, if you care about just messing with your opponent's graveyard. Then Goblin Tomb Raider. Nothing here for us. Go ahead and grab the red card. Ooh, well, that's probably a little bit too late for this thing, but I don't think we're playing that. Take a Voltaic Vault. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and take a cave. You never know. Okay, that's a Fanatical Offering on the wheel. That's not bad at all. Sacrifice a artifact or creature. These cards usually perform quite well, although last time we saw it, it made a treasure token, which is much better than a map token. And another Mephitic Draft. All right, we were looking for black-white sacrifice cards now. And yeah, that's quite a pack. So here, I think this is the only real vampire payoff in the set. It's a 5-mana 5/4. When it attacks, you get a vampire back from your graveyard to the battlefield. It does have a finality counter, and a finality counter means if it dies, it's exiled. So you basically get something back once. You also lose a life here. I don't currently have any vampires, and you should not... I mean, this is an exception, but there's not really a vampire deck, right? You can draft a bunch of black-white vampires, but it's not really a thing in this format. Pirates kind of exist, dinosaurs kind of exist, but merfolk and vampires only have like one rare payoff. I'm actually tempted to take the Dusk Rose Reliquary. This is a 1-mana Banish and Light, hits any artifact or creature regardless of mana value, and even has Ward 2. And it's a good way to sacrifice my drafts. It sits on board, and if you hit something insignificant, you can even sacrifice this later to a different effect. There's a lot in this pack that I could talk about. There's Deathcap Marionette and the Necro Mage that I like quite a bit. I don't think I'm going to take Queen's Bay Paladin. I think I'm actually going to take the Reliquary here. Just a very strong removal spell. Follow that up with 3-mana 1/1 Double Strike ETB Explore. Just a rock-solid, clean design. There's also Tinker's Tote, which is quite good. Something we can pick up with Pup. It makes 3 artifacts, which is great. Sacrifice Fodder for like our Fanatical Offering. Sacrifice Fodder for our Rose Reliquary. I think that's going to be the pick here. I played against this card earlier, and it did literally nothing. They never got a +1 counter out of it, and they never sacrificed. I think the card's pretty bad. Deep Goblin Skull Taker is also decent in like the red-black aggressive Descend decks. Bat Colony. So yeah, this card looks very appealing, right? But you need... If you just have 1 cave when you cast this card, it's 3 mana for a 1/1 flyer, which is terrible. And you have to commit so many picks. One day I will force the cave deck. Maybe I'll even go into the next draft saying I'm forcing caves no matter what. I do like the hidden lands. I think most of my decks want 1, if not 2 of these. But I'm going to take Skull Cap Snail. Never passed a card like this in my life. Actual upgrade to the ones we've seen before. Another strong pack. We've got another Pup. We've got Stingin' Cave Crawler, which attacks and draws a card if you have Descend 4. Another reason to bias towards permanence. Glorifier of Suffering. sacrifice an artifact or creature on ETB, distribute 2+1/+1 counters among your creatures, and another Skullcap Snail. I think with the Draughts, I want to make sure I have a couple sacrifice outlets, which I've already got, but I'm going to go ahead and take the Glorifier here. And I think I'm happy about that. Yeah, there's a lot of considerations in that pack. I'm not even sure the Glorifier is like the best card for my deck, but it's good. This is a 3 mana 2/4 that untaps on your opponent's turn. Good for, I guess, the red-white tap things down. I'm going to take Promising Vein here. There's diminishing returns on Fanatical Offering, but this card could help us splash, not that we are really looking to. If I get some sort of desert payoff, or random cave payoff, like, it's fine. And it's also just an easy, inoffensive way to trigger Descend in your deck, if that's, or Descended, rather, if that's something you care about. This is another super just dorky land cycler. There is the Landmark here. This card looked fine earlier. Pretty easy to turn it into a 1/4. Gives you some value early on. You can also just take a 2/2. I think I like the Landmark here over Vito's Inquisitor. This is just kind of a clunky creature. Might even wheel, honestly. I do like Kawadi Scavenger. I'm obviously not going to take it here. 2/2 versus a 5/5 that gets an artifact back from my graveyard versus Land Cycler. Not sure I need the 2/2, though I don't have a lot of early game creatures. The 5/5 is very replaceable. Okay, I'll take the 2/2. I convinced myself. That's a late Chupacabra. Fathomless Descent counts the number of permanents in your graveyard, so it's basically Descend X. There's also another Tithing Blade, which would probably be good, but I will take Chupacabra Echo here. And yeah, Tithing Blade is a nice card there. I saw this card in action earlier. I was not impressed by any means. It seems like perfectly main deckable if you want to be aggressive, but my deck doesn't have enough early game plays to be impressed by this. Deathcap Marionette is a good little 2-drop. The more you care about the graveyard, the more you want this, but I definitely don't want more landmarks. So I'll go ahead and take that. Follow up with the Stalker. Sorry, we're not we're not taking Canonized in Blood. I bet this card's pretty good, though. Inverted Iceberg just cantrips, mills a card, and then you can turn it into a 6/6 later. Whenever Iceberg Titan attacks, you may tap or untap target artifact or creature. It's pretty good. Not for us. I didn't even see this the first time around. This is a fine little card to sacrifice. It's a little anemic, but it's a fine card to sacrifice. I'll go ahead and pick up my first on-color cave, though. Wow, Crawler came back. Okay. A bunch of blue cards that nobody cares about. Look, even the bots on day 0 don't care about the blue cards. It's probably not a good sign. And some basics. All right. Pack 3. Unfortunately, a huge bust on the rare and uncommons there. Like, nothing we can play. This card copies a land in a graveyard. Only in the graveyard? It doesn't even copy... Enters the battlefield as a copy of any land in a graveyard. That's so weird it doesn't doesn't copy land on the battlefield too, but I guess they didn't want to make another Vesuva. We don't really have a need for that. I'm going to take this Blood Rage Mycoid, which was a little bit of an overperformer. There's also Petrify, but I think I'm okay on removal. Yep, there's the Merfolk card. This is literally the only card in the entire set that cares about Merfolk. There is technically an artifact that cares about one of each different creature type, but yeah, if you're building a Merfolk deck, you better hope you open this card, or maybe if you start out with it, it is a really good payoff. But I am going to take Acolyte of Aquazotz. This is just a fine little sacrifice outlet engine. Nothing else really in that pack to consider, unfortunately. And now we're looking at... What is this? This is black mana. Equipped creature gets +2/+1. Pay 3 mana or discard a card. That's a pretty steep cost. Does help you descend. Could take another Stingin' Crawler. Here's fine too. Another Courtyard. I think I'd rather my Courtyards be different colors. Another 4-drop, though a fine one. I'll go ahead and take another Crawler. Though, given that the bots let one of these wheel late, I probably don't have to do that. Just go for the super redundant deck. I don't... Probably diminishing returns on the pups too. Just take another Glorifier of Suffering. All right, what are you? You're a 3 mana 2/3, pay black, tap and sack it. Return a creature from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter. That seems fine. And then this one is strips a artifact or creature from your opponent's hand, and then you craft with it to make a 5/4. With Menace, that mills 2 on attacks. The creature on the back is actually not an artifact, which is interesting. I mean, the Viper's fine. How many 3-drops we're going to play? I'll go and take it. We're going to have to clean up the mana here a little bit. The bots apparently don't like this card. We'll take it. Ooh, that is a card worth splashing, but I don't think we really want to splash for any reason. Very strong. Resources. They get control over what resources they lose. And in the late game, they're just going to sacrifice, an extra land or discard a card they don't need or something like that. But in the early game, they're actually losing stuff. I'm going to take Fungal Fortitude. I like this card. It's a permanent for my Descend cards. It's a nice way to save a creature from a removal spell or a combat trick or what have you. Another Viper. This is a 5 mana 5/2. When it dies, discover 3. That's just okay. Don't really want to play 2 with these. It's super slow and clunky. I don't have huge creatures to get back anyway. I'm not going to play anything from that pack, and it looks like we're going to get the Dredges back. I have no idea whether this card's good or not. It seems a little bit too dinky. Another Cave. Yeah, the Promise in Vain actually is probably worth running. I'm not going to play a second tap land here, I don't think, unless it's a black one. And nothing really coming back at the end, which is fine. It is fine. All right, so we ended up in black-white sacrifice. Have to cut an enormous number of cards, it seems, but let's go ahead through on the chop and block real quick. So Landmark can come out. Anything that's just not exciting, I'm going to go ahead and pull it over to the side. Cut one of those. Fortitude's fine. Got to do some work on the 3-drops. Envoy is okay, but cuttable. Start with that. Oh, look at that. 40 cards. 40 cards, you say? And, I mean, I guess we could go down to 16 lands on this. Got a bunch of cantrip and stuff. I've got a double white card. And then I've got a double black card. It's going to be more important to hit my black mana so that I can at least cantrip into other stuff, which means I'm adding back something. Probably just a cheap play, 2-drop or Landmark. You can put the Landmark back in. Let's give that one a little bit more time in the sun, see how it plays. All right, so late at night, we might not get matches right away. Never mind, I'll eat my words. Iron Wolf, I played against them earlier, and I believe they beat me. And yeah, functional hand, I like it. I mean, get some scry action early, go ahead and eat their first play, and then curve into a 1/3 Death Toucher with hopefully backup. So this one just scries 2. Bottom. Yeah, I'm good on white mana. If I'm going to draw a land, I'd prefer to draw another swamp. Blue-white. There's that iceberg we were talking about. Milled a black card, though. A little awkward. Well, they didn't give me a target for Blade, but that's okay. I get to at least cantrip here. Tinker's Tote. Fine little 3-drop. Actually quite high on this. It just fits into all the different decks. Pirate Hat, huh? So that doesn't do anything until they can equip it. Tell you what, I'll read it when it matters. Let's go ahead and just play this Cave Crawler. It's not descending, obviously, anytime soon. I have 0 permanents in my graveyard. Ancestral Reminiscence. Draw 3, then discard a card. Sure. Okay, Duskrow's Reliquary's fine for a later turn. Let's... This has to go to the graveyard, put into a graveyard from the battlefield, so I can't craft with that. I guess just the Tinker's Tote. Get some more material on board here. Opponent's got 1,000,000 cards. Whenever this creature attacks, draw a card, then discard a card. +1/+1. And it's just cheaper to equip to a pirate. Okay, and they did not equip either, so they've got something up. I think I'm going to go for Dusk Rose. Actually, I could use the Tithing Blade. Dusk Rose hits a wider swath of creatures. Each opponent sacks a creature. I mean, just going to jam into whatever they got here, obviously. And we shall... Don't feel like I need to sacrifice that. What are we seeing on end step here? Oh, Malcolm. Okay. So Malcolm, when it hits you, you draw a card, then discard a card. And then if you have 4 or more counters on this, if that's happened 4 times, you get to cast the card you discarded. Malcolm was a pretty good card there. So they're going to loot. They're going to get a chorus counter. Discarding a tap land. And then they're going to loot again from the actual Malcolm trigger. Oh, that's a good one. Thankfully, we are going to be able to deal with that. Unfortunately, we're just not dealing a lot of damage right now, which is not great. So I think we go Saw Blades, kill this, Reliquary, kill that. Do the Reliquary first. Sacrifice the drought, or the draft rather. Ooh, Guardian. We'll go ahead and eat that. And then I think I'd rather just play the 4/4 this turn. I get to keep up double black too. That's nice. All right, let's get in for 3. I'm going to play this, tap in 1, 2, 3, 4. And pass with Fungal Fortitude up. This card is 7 mana, crafts into an artifact that taps to make a 4/4, but you can only activate that if another artifact entered that turn, which they can do, which would make a 4/4 right away, and would be pretty strong. But if that's all they do and my Guardian of the Great Door starts getting in, I feel okay. But then every turn they're able to put another artifact into play. They get to tap to just make a 4/4. It's pretty strong. Shipwreck Sentry. Can only attack if you had a artifact enter the battlefield that turn. Then Tithing Blade? Okay. I'm actually interested in why they didn't craft. I guess the only thing they can craft with is this, and they don't want to lose another card to do that. Helping Hand, looking real good right now. looking fantastic. All right, I think I go jam, and then maybe just flip the Tithing Blade. If they trade for the 3/3 here, perhaps. Yeah, we'll just let that happen. Flipping the Tithing Blade's not terrible here. I could also flip this thing. My opponent's on a 2-turn clock. They just use their turn on that. That's not that bad. Can also help in hand the Dust Crawler, which is just whatever. All right, I'm gonna go for this sacking the Reliquary. Oh, it's craft with creature. Craft with creature. That's different. All right, let's go ahead and do this then. Ship the turn with the Spring Blade and the Fungal Fortitude up. They use an entire turn to craft. That's okay. Ooh, that exiles. Okay. Yeah, nothing I can really do about it. So Malcolm's going to come in. They're going to loot twice. I'm going to hit him for 3. I do have 2 extra damage here. Oh, never mind. They're not going to let me do that. They've chosen not to allow me to do that. Okay. Oh, that's pretty good. It's pretty good. So I can just sacrifice this. I guess sacrifice the Dusk Rose and then what? Go counter, counter, attack. They kind of have to block or else they're taking a million damage. This is 5. Sure. I think at this point I just want to get another creature on the board. Alright, you're up. Nice. Okay. I think my opponent was supposed to... Well, you see what happened there. Just to kind of go back... Are we gold tier in the early access? Sure. I'm trying to go back to the battlefield, please. No, I clicked off of it. I just barely missed it. So, my opponent chose not to flip their big 7 mana card because they didn't want to craft with the other thing. But you can see by the end of the game, they ended up not doing anything with either of them. So I think that was just a missed opportunity. They got a little greedy going for full value and fell behind. So not sure if it's absolutely correct for them to have done that, but it's what it felt to me. We are against Yat, New York, NY. Welcome, welcome. I am first. Yeah, any hand that has lands in this is probably going to be a keep. And this hand just looks decent. It's another good curve-out hand. Kaboom. Scry 2. Probably keeping a land on top. Helping hand can go bottom. This card did not get particularly close last game. Let's see if we can change that. I guess we just want to bat. See what we're working with on the other side here. This takes a non-land. Bounce spell, surveyor, big counter spell. Just take their 2-drop, I guess. Sure. 2-drop creature. So this is, yeah, if they want to use that on my dude, that's fine. They get a map token. Fine by me. Alright, now I'll play the 1-3 just for mana efficiency here. Now we get to Deep Cavern bat something else. Alright, and they hit a land. They're going to use the map token. Ooh, 3-fold Thunderhawk. Oh, so we have to win before that hits us. Good to know. The card is kind of messed up. So they're going to play Surveyor next turn, which gets them really close to Thunderhulk. But maybe I can hit Thunderhulk with the Cavern bat. Unfortunately, I didn't draw another land, so I can't double spell or anything. But I'm also not going to block here, so let's get some damage in and probably just play Tinker's Tote for mana efficiency again. Falling behind a little bit by not being able to double spell. This Surveyor is really good. Let you read this card real quick. Just know that it's a bomb. It's a game ender if you can get up to 7 mana. My opponent has Hurl Through History as well, which is going to make it tough if they don't do anything on their next turn. Snail, you say. Still got a turn before we have to worry about it too much. Yeah, feels like we're just running out of 2-drop here. They're gonna exile land to that. All right, let's just get the bat back out. See what else they've drawn here. Nothing. Okay. I can play around the Hurl a little bit. Let's just take the 7-drop because they guarantee to have that in 2 turns. And we'll sit tight. Ooh, Ukbenbach. Ukbenbach. The Great Mistake. That is a 6-4. Okay, I will eat your 2/3. And, sure, I guess they're taking away... Yeah, this lets me, tithe them. I think they just don't know that card has Death Touch, perhaps? Another land would be nice, but I do get to go ahead and just eat this. They can cast it later in the game, but it has to send 8. Go ahead. Okay, so we're sacking a land to hit a random card, and it's a good one. 2/2 that makes a map token. Sacking the map token right away, I presume. Alright, another River Herald Scout on top. Probably put that in the graveyard. Alright, another land is good, so... Feels like we just go... Marionette. We're not even... We have no Descend. They gonna trade for the 1/4 here? Their Descend count is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4. This counts itself? Yeah. Okay. The Skullcap Snail doesn't do too much. Let's go ahead and start with the Death Cap. I would like to mill myself. Sawblade land is good. And then trade here. Just get something out of the way. They take that block? Yeah, nice. Alright, and then we'll just go ahead and eat a card from their hand. That's fine. My army of 1/1s on board. I assume that island is going away. Okay. Alright, and I just don't have to play into the other stuff here. I can use a landmark. This does not cast anything. And I'll just go and use the Tinker's Toe. Actually, you know what? This is craft with creature. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and make my Chupacabra a little bit worse. And I'm just going to get the extra damage going. I guess it's the same amount of damage that this does, but it gains me a little bit of life. I can always do this next turn anyway with the Tinker's Toe. Ooh, okay, they found removal, so we're gonna we're gonna need to kill quick. Let's just put it that way. And we don't have a super fast clock, so I think what I'm doing here is trying to see more cards. Okay. Jam. Alright, let me read this card. So when it enters the battlefield with 3+1/+1 counters, and then it makes 3 gnomes, you may sacrifice another artifact to put a +1 counter on it. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if they go land, they could potentially, like, make it a 4. So this needs to deal at least 4 next turn, which I should be able to do. Map token, you say? Can I get that to 4 next turn? I guess if I play this, I can get it to 4 for sure. And then the map token can go on the Death Toucher, I suppose. Mischievous Pup to pick up my Tithing Blade. That seems pretty weak, actually. I was about to say good, but no, that seems pretty weak. I'll keep it on top, though. There's enough uses for that, I think. Yep. Alright, so here comes Thunderhulk. And I do get to kill Thunderhulk, but now I'm facing down a bunch of 1/1s, which is annoying, to say the least. And it is better for me, I think, to use the 1/1 snail for my Acolyte than it is to trade it off for a 1/1 here. How close are we to this Descend 8? Still 1 permanent off. Soul Coil Viper. Alright, that can get back a creature next turn. Do I start just using Aquazots here? I think I do. Just chip in as much damage as possible. Craft with artifact, I can do that. And they have 5 mana up, so that's worth noting. Okay, so if they trade for Soul Coil, Viper, I'm happy with that, because it means they're not getting back their big boy. So let's go ahead and jam this, and if they block with the 1/1, that is probably what's going to happen, I assume. And then we craft with Tinker's Tote. I don't really want to give them the chance to hurl here. This is a 2-turn clock. 1 mana to get back their big thing here. I assume it's got to be the gnome. Okay, that's pretty good. It's pretty good. Ooh. Camille the Inner Sun. Spells you control can't be countered. At the beginning of your end step, discover 5. Okay. Alright, let's go ahead and let that resolve. Okay, they're going to grab a creature from my hand. So, do I want to pick anything up with the pup? I have 4 damage. I basically just need them to blank next turn. I was going to use the pup to pick up this Chupacabra, but... Okay, you got it. Yep, there goes the pup. And not sacrificing anything here. Opponent goes to 7. Land is not useful, but we go... This is a... When it attacks, target attacking creature without. Just making sure I know what the card does. Alright, let's get in for 4. My opponent's going to have a draw step and a discover 5 to try and kill one of these 2 things. And even if they find an answer to the flyer, I have 1 damage here on their turn, 1 on untap, 1 here. So I do think they're going to need to find some pretty good stuff. Ooh, this doesn't do anything. I'm at 27. I'm going to go ahead and not block here, but this card's so good. Okay, here comes the Discover. Tithing Blade. Sure. Alright, cool. We beat our opponent's onslaught of rares. I think, imagine that game if I didn't know about Hurl into History. Because I revealed this on turn 2. I was able to play around it the entire game, right? It ended up being basically uncastable in my opponent's hand. But if I didn't reveal their hand on turn 2, would that game have gone differently? Probably. There was a turn there where I just chose not to play into it, but... Interesting stuff. That gnome thing's really good. It's like the new Myr Battlesphere. Not quite as strong, but cheaper. We'll see you all in the 3rd match. Alright, we made it back. We're against Metal Mario this time. Helping hand has not been looking great here, but yeah, I mean, functional hand as long as I have my colors and some stuff to do, I think we can't complain too much. Okay. Red deck, you say? Let's go ahead and let's take a peek. I don't expect this bat to sway the game too much. Ooh, okay, so red-green dinos. They've got a shock, and they've got a 2-drop haste creature. I think I'm content. So when this enters the battlefield, you may pay 2. Target dinosaur you control deals damage equal to its power to another target creature. So they can go... shock my thing, play this on 3, play this on 4. That's pretty good. If I take this, they hit me for 2. Alright, you may use your shock if you would like to use your shock. They use the shock. And now we play the 1-3. I could helping hand, actually. I think this is better. So they're going to play their 3/3. I'm assuming they're playing the Dino, because it's a good follow-up to this. Yep. And we're going to go Tithe Blade plus Helping Hand. Seems pretty good. Kellen, not bad. I forgot that there's a reason to have green mana in my deck, but I don't know that I have any free green stuff. So we're going to go Blade. Go ahead and kill that. And then I'm going to Helping Hand back my Bat and take Ixalan. They drew another River Herald Guide. And we will jam for 1 damage. No haste coming in currently. Okay, River Herald Guide, 3/1 Vigilance, Explore on ETB. They hit a Belligerent Yearling, which they want to keep on top. Interesting enough. Alright, looks like attack here. Kellen, hold up, Fortitude, pass. Okay, last, yeah. Makes sense to keep the 2-drop on top. A, it's just fine on board, but also you can double spell since they knew that last card was a land. Drew a land off of Explore again. And Yearling. Opponent with all the little dudes. All the little dorky creatures. It says Vigilance? No. This isn't even particularly close to getting there, so I'll just let that one trade off. Get my Chupacabra going. Plains is not exactly what I wanted to see. Let's go ahead and attack with Kellen. I think I'm okay trading Kellen off for anything here. Well, it's pretty strong. I assume they're putting the 3/1 in front of it, right? I will need to hit another black source at some point in this game. Okay, they did not take the trade with Kellen. That's interesting. Let's go and play this. This is just here to trade. Do you need them to brick on like a big 6-mana Dino or something like that? That's fine. Let's go and get this out of the way. Oh, they drew a trick. Nice. +3/+3 trample, and they get to play their guy out. Okay, that definitely turns the game around in their favor. They are empty-handed now, though. Sure. I'm going to attack with both again. So what happens if it's a creature card with mana value 3 or less? Otherwise, you may put in your graveyard. I think I want to draw that. So I'm going to decline. See if they want to take the trade with Kellen now. And then I'm going to... Ooh, actually, that was bad. I'm going to use the Courtyard this turn, so it doesn't really matter whether I left a land on top or not. Which means I'm not guaranteed to... I should have used the Courtyard before combat, I guess. Sloppy play on my behalf. That's okay. Metal Mario, you there? Okay, so they take the 3, and we are going to crack this. See what we get. Not the worst. That's basically a removal spell, assuming they don't top deck a removal spell themselves. Ooh, they did hit a removal spell? Oh, sure. I mean, that's pretty strong. I don't think this card's that good, but there are situations where it's fine. So they get in for 9. And they got... I mean, it was a 3/3 that made my creature unblockable. Skullcap Snail. Not the best draws. Not the best draws. Kellen, are you coming in? I think I have to play some amount of defense now, yeah? This Skull Snail's just pretty bad. Okay. 3, 1, 2, 3. Not having double black is hurting me here. Obviously. All right. So that's a treasure, not a map. All right, I assume they're all in. Let's go here. Actually, probably better to go here. Leave them with the 3-2, and then I'm gonna fungal fortitude this, I think. Just to gain a little bit of extra life, and then I get to take Ixalan right back before they can cast it. Yep. Alright, they did draw a blank. Ooh, Tote is nice. Tote's actually very nice. Yep, you're up. Don't feel great about this with my opponent being at 17. I mean, that was a blank this turn. That's not bad. Sacrifice and Tote, go counter, counter. Could also just use the snail since the snail's not doing anything. The Tote might be useful later on. Yeah, definitely playing this. I'll keep the snail. They might draw a card, use this, and just be left with a card in hand. Alright, you're up. Still haven't found the second black source. I mean, technically we found it. Alright, you hit, discover 4 hit in your 4-drop is exactly what you want, right? And they have a removal spell on top. And I think I have to take the trade. It's going to be pretty bad next turn, right? Yeah, this next turn's the losing turn. This into Ixalan. Is it? Okay. Actually, never mind. It's a very good turn because we get to pick up Tithing Blade, and then their next draw is a blank. So I missed out on 3 damage there because I could have done that pre-combat and jammed with the gnomes. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now, yeah, I'm in the driver's seat. I just flipped this next turn. Okay, I didn't think I was going to win that. I got a little lucky that my opponent basically just drew into a bunch of blanks. Almost missed winning that game there. Let's go ahead and run it back one more, and then we'll just go ahead and resign, and I'll see if I can get in another draft here. Again, I'm not really going for the trophies. I'm going for the gameplay experience, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work. And I think we're getting a pretty good idea of what works and what doesn't. This hand looks keepable. Doesn't really get on board until turn 3. Hello, King Gex. Choop. Dropped. Draft. Draft. I'm always going to say draw it, like, you can't stop me. That's not a bad 3-drop. Okay, red, white. Ooh, with the 3-2. And we got the bat again. I think we just have to play a 3-drop, though. Let's go ahead and play the Death Toucher. Don't mind trading here. 2 mana, 3-2 trample with upside at uncommon. What a world we live in. They're gonna Cosmium Blast or something like that. 4 damage to a blocking creature. A Braid. Okay, sure. Interesting, they could have just done that, right? Now I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go take the hit. Let's see what we're working against, whether we need the draft or the fungal thing. Bone Horde Dragon, Trumpeting Carnosaur. What? So I can't win, is what you're saying. I mean, I don't think I take the Clayfire Bricks guarantees that they play the Dracosaur. If they play Dracosaur, I can't do anything about it. Okay. I mean, that's bad. It's horrendously bad. Spring-loaded saw blades. That kind of works. It doesn't work against Dracosaur because they get a full turn before... Yeah, I don't know how we're winning this. My opponent's hand's incredible. Ooh, and they drew a removal spell. Okay. So, is there a way to get... No. That's going to become a 5/5/1. I'm looking to see if there's a way to get 5 permanents in my graveyard, and I don't really see it. Because they're going to play Dracosaur, right? That's going to make that thing a 5/5. I guess I just have to hit, like, my my dagger. So let's kill that. And then... lose a life, draw a card. Mycoid. One more shot with the cave, basically. Okay. We're doing what we gotta doing. And we can't cast that. Okay, so I'm gonna obviously let my opponent have some fun. They're gonna play the other dinosaur now. This is the best card in the set. I'm 100% confident. If you untap with it, you just get to draw 2 extra cards. You get to play those cards, and you get extra bonuses depending on what cards those were. They kept the dinosaur in hand too. That's gotta be that's demoralizing. What can we do, if anything? I mean, I can kill this now. It's actually not terrible. Plus, they have the clay fire brick thing ready. Oh, I didn't even draw a land. Okay. We go and kill that. You got it, King Gex. You got it. It's 3 damage to any target. Target creature or planeswalker. Okay, flip the clay oven, give their creatures +1/+1. Carnosaur. Yeah, Carnosaur is the way cooler way to go about this, right? Okay. That does make a lethal attack this turn. I was hoping they didn't have lethal. +2/+1. We'll go in GG. There's a rule in the streamer event that you're not supposed to concede early, but I assume if you are horrifically dead that it's okay to concede early, or at least concede before that. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and resign there. Did we learn anything from this? Well, we learned Dracosaur is good. We learned Descend is not free. You have to put in work to descend. We could have used more self-mill instead of sacrifice stuff, because our descend stuff wasn't on until super late, and double cost cards, they will get you. But overall, the card quality here was really good. The strategy worked out quite nicely. Again, Tithe Blade, I'm pretty high on this card right now. I think it's quite strong. Chupacabra is good. Mycoid's good. We didn't really get to see that one. This one's a little more dependent. I mean, a 3-mana 1/3 Death Touch is an okay card, but if you are a deck that is not able to descend up to 4 permanents regularly, it's a lot worse, and I think it's not great in this deck. Spring-Loaded Trap, good. The Bat, great. Death Scores, I mean, you saw what I saw, right? Just a bunch of decent stuff. What I'm going to go ahead and do here is stop this video and then pick right up with another draft in another video. So if this is where you stop watching, thanks for hanging out with Jank Diver Gaming today. Hopefully we get invited back to more streamer events and I can actually do some streaming rather than just the late night graveyard shift recording. But if this is where you're signing off, thanks for being with Jank Diver Gaming. Make sure you check out our Discord down below. Feel free to subscribe to the YouTube channel. And while you're on the YouTube channel, check out our podcast, The Jank Tank, starring me, Teld, and Christopher Sofsky. admin, members, and creators of the Jank Diver Gaming community. All right, that's it for this one. I will see everybody else in a new draft video here in just a couple minutes.